another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching. I was standing out at the Memorial Day Parade. Oh, by the way, check out Pittsburgh Sportsline. I put it right up there for you guys to see the Memorial Day Parade in Bethel Park. Dave Cable and Joe, the great cameraman and producer, he got that thing up. Well, I'm out there, and wouldn't you know what a small world it is? They know the Draculiches from Midland. You know, Big Mike D, that's his last name, and his dad. So they said they're Serbian, and I'd forget her last name, and I did. But they were great. They had a nice dog, didn't do anything in my yard, 130-pound, beautiful dog. And then I meet a couple other people, you know, of course, before picnics. I'm at Giant Eagle Market District because they have everything.
No, they got free French fries.
I did get some free treats, but I can't tell you about French fries. Anyhow, this lady's stalking me. Renee, how are you today? She comes up. I'm on the phone trying to find out, you know, what I need to get, and she has a note. Hey, Talking Machine, I watch your show.
Really?
Get out.
She goes, I love you guys. And she goes, guess where I'm from? And I go, I don't know, Bethel Park? She goes, yeah, but I'm from Munhall originally. She's her, tell little Z, happy birthday. And then Gary, who come out, you know, from the Post-Gazette, was at our show at Pittsburgh Sportsline at Sips. He's there. So he goes, hey, Al, you guys are great. Going to Sips, just fantastic. I couldn't even leave the store because of the show.
Get on.
It took me half an hour to get out of there, a 2-minute shopping spree, and a couple free snacks.
I was just going to say, free stuff.
Now, for everybody else watching the show, we appreciate it. Verizon 32 everywhere, Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. I know a Coca-Cola guy wanted to watch the show, but he has DirecTV.
Oh,
I said YouTube and the internet. That's the only other way, folks. But anyhow, there's been a spotting of Dr. Trina Hess riding a unicycle on Facebook. I think Chip discovered that. And you got to go out to Butler, Seneca Valley, and July 21st to the 27th, the Butler Wobble is promoting that. Dave Crack said spectators are free. They have raffle tickets, and you got to buy a ticket for their dinner in order to be a winner of the raffle tickets. That's the only stipulation. Because if you win and you're not there, guess what? They go to the next one. So Smoking Jim, you might have a chance there, buddy.
Well, you usually win the 50-50.
There's a rumor. We'll talk about that later, buddy. We got too much stuff to cover here. I don't want to dominate the whole thing, but we do another great thing, the March for Babies, for March of Dimes.
Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, the walk starts.
And this is June 2nd, Hayner's Angels. Go to the website. What is that? marchforbabies.org/team/Hayner, Haynor, not ER, Angels. And donate some money there. It's all for a great cause. Super, help these, you know, people out. Just fantastic. So see you there on the 2nd. And those are some of my announcements, folks. Now for you regulars, you know what's on our mind. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Big Mike Butera is in the house here. What's on your mind?
No promos, but I'm going to give a shout out to Little Z and the rest of the Zettes that Brenner Contracting, and I understand the Z-Man's looking to move up in this world, but I'm not quite sure.
And Mike's pimping for that shirt.
You know what? I heard a rumor he has a shirt ready for you, buddy. But it's in the washing machine right now.
Yeah.
You got to wear it today. He was getting all sweated up with the humidity.
Sure, he's probably checking my seat out too. That's okay, Z-Man. That's okay because.
Hold it. He just texted me. Oh, you're not looking that good, Big Mike. If you need to go, hold up, Little Z.
You're looking a little pink.
I hear him outside the door. Before I give a shout out to
It's Dave. Dave's not here.
Before I give a shout out to Rick and Loretti and Dina and Nikki and Tough Broad in Frankfort, Illinois, whom I all love, I have an announcement to make, folks, and the announcement is tonight is my last night. That I'll be wearing a bizarre hairstyle because I graduate. I don't know what you were thinking. I graduate from the county.
He's texting like crazy.
I graduate from the sheriff's department on Thursday and I have to get a non-civilian hairstyle. So You'll be looking for, prim and proper from now on.
Really?
Thank you. Yeah.
What about shaving?
Yes, I have to shave too.
Well, what's on your mind?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
It's short and sweet because of my shameless promo about myself. And
We
this
didn't
is
notice.
this is what I would appreciate if you guys would seriously revisit because the Bruins smoked the Rangers in 5 games in the second round of the playoffs. And there was a comment in New York papers the last couple of days. Henry Lundqvist and another one of the forefronters of the Rangers made the same and similar comments in that they weren't prepared. And I hope this reflects on John Tortorella, because I don't really like that guy, but nonetheless, I want you guys to tell me what not being prepared to play a series means. In fact, they had at least 24 to 48 hours notice they were getting into the second round, and then they knew they were going to be playing 4 games at least because it's a 7-game best of 7. So how can you not be prepared? I don't understand that. Explain it to me.
It's real simple. That's called an excuse. We'll talk about Penguins in our Penguin segment, my friend.
Well, that wasn't
We're not going to
Penguin.
revisit
That was a
because
general thing.
the Bruins are playing the Penguins.
That's correct, the mundo. And I
Okay,
thought,
well, we're not going to revisit that.
I thought it was follow the money.
No,
Okay.
not today.
Well, that's it.
And now, thank you, Big Mike.
Remember hair.
Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Where's that pen at? Oh, man.
you got to see Levine. But, hey, just a quick announcement. As we're building this team, we're always looking for good people, exciting people. We'll train you. And there's a young lady that's been coming around. Not only is she beautiful, she's dependable. She's loved by the community. I think she's the fastest rising star in Pittsburgh. I think that she'll be nationally known, if not internationally and worldly known pretty soon. And I offered her to join our professional boxing team, and she accepted. And her
Whoa,
name
you didn't
is,
even tell me.
I just got the text. Her
Who
name
could
is
this be?
Alicia Richter. Is that how you say her last name? That may be her calling. So,
Well,
yeah, congratulations,
no, we can't talk.
Alicia. So
I
that's
tell you what,
outstanding.
teach her how to duck punches because that girl is too beautiful for that face to get marred.
She is, and I think everybody loves blondes. Blondes
What
have more
about
fun,
you,
right?
Smoking Jim?
Blondes have more fun. But hey, just a couple things. Over the weekend, I was at a few banquets. Me and Al Levine, the talking machine, did the Kumite Classic where he won some big money on the 50-50 drawing. But I was before that, Luther Dupree from Steel City Sports World did his first annual banquet and did a great job. And one of the guys that we honored was Tyler Boyd from Clareton High School was there. We had Darrell Porter was there because his son DJ was honored. Chris Moore from KDKA was there. Mark Brentley, Ed Gainey. So we had a number of people.
Hold on, what about our guy on our show, Andy Sebastian?
Andy Sebastian was there. Jimmy Savetic was also an honoree. But what's on my mind is with Ray Lewis retiring this year and also Brian Urlacher, I put together my top 10 middle linebackers of all time.
Wow.
Number 10, Brian Urlacher. Number 9, Bill Romanowski.
Wow.
Number 8, Levon Kirkland. Number 7, Ray Nitsky. Number 6, Willie Lanier. Number 5, Junior Seau. My favorite linebacker comes in number 4, Jack Lambert. Number 3, Mike Singletary. Number 2, Dick Buckus. And number 1, Chip,
Brother Ray.
Ray Lewis, greatest linebacker, greatest football player of all time, and that's what's on my mind.
Good stuff.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Appreciate that. All right, Chip Painter, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. What's on my mind tonight? Well, I'll tell you what's not on my mind tonight. Football in shorts. The OTAs are going on down in Southside, but that's not what's on my mind. What's on my mind tonight, and if you notice the gear I'm sporting, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah, we're almost a third of the way through the season. We've played 51 games this year. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are 31-20, and they have the third best record in the National League. Wow. A far cry better than anybody anticipated them coming. But the thing I want to bring to people's attention, and I know that the naysayers, they heaped all this ridicule and scorn on Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington and the Pirates scouting staff because of the moves they made in the offseason. And we didn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars on players that aren't going to perform. We went out and picked up people that were on the last leg of their journey, maybe to some people that had some success at one point and had faltered, and gave them another chance. And I think a real big shout needs to go to Neil Huntington and his scouting staff, because look at what the Pirates have done with the moves they've made without spending hundreds of millions of dollars. I think, they've done an excellent job of bringing people up. For example, Genmar Gomez is pitching tonight against the Detroit Tigers. Who ever heard of Genmar Gomez? Well, he was a very successful pitcher in the Cleveland Indians system. Had a couple of had a good season in the majors, and then for whatever reason seemed to lose his edge. But they brought him in, a different environment, different coaching staff, different philosophies, and look what's happened. He's been a part of the turnaround of the Pirates pitching staff. The Pirates pitching staff in the month of May leads the major leagues in earned run average. That's pretty unbelievable when you think about all of the $150 and $200 million pitchers that are out there on other teams' rosters that aren't doing nearly as well. So, we got to give some props to them, and I know all of the naysayers are sitting quietly, waiting for their moment to pounce. The first losing streak, and I know we're going to hear it again. And I hear people criticizing the fact that, we are playing Pedro Alvarez. Well, Pedro Alvarez only happens to be leading the team in home runs. And unfortunately, he can't keep his average above the Mendoza line. But I want to tell you this, one of the more consistent things that the people that complained about the Pirates over the last couple of decades was every time the Pirates would get somebody that was a decent prospect, we would trade him away and get nothing in return. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, they just need to keep Pedro playing, and they need to keep him here and let him bear the fruits of his labors here instead of in another market like they've done so many other times. Right now, I'm telling you what, I would not make any trades on this team whatsoever. I think they've done a great job of putting the pieces together. They're meshing very well. They're playing together as a team. And, I don't think any trades need to be made. The pitching help that we need is in the minor league system. Help is on the way as the season gets longer. So my shout out to the first third of the season for the Pirates. You've done a great job. Keep it rolling.
There you go, folks. And I think the key to all this winning was Chip gave me some Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. It was very sour grape Kool-Aid, and I drank the whole thing.
It's getting sweeter every week.
And every day it is getting sweeter. I wasn't going to talk Pirates, but I do have to give them some compliments. If you saw the Facebook page I put up about first time in Pirate history, 15 wins in April, 16 wins in May. That's never been done in our history. Mm-hmm. So, just that in itself is shocking in this day and age. So maybe those pieces to the puzzle are starting to fit together. But what's on my mind is hockey. And the problem I have with hockey is, how can a major sport not be able to tell you when your team is playing? Now, does anybody know if you get rain or snow in an arena this time of year? How can you not know, except you're pandering to TV? And why are you doing that when you're like a third-class rating on TV or worse? Except for the Pittsburgh market and maybe one or two others. We're number one in root sports the last couple years, beating everybody in hockey. So to me, that's what's on my mind. How is Bettman dropping the ball with a schedule? And we'll revisit this stuff right now. Chip's ready to pounce right on that and tell you, folks. Well, let's revisit what I said.
Here's the problem. You've got the two 7-game series in the Western Conference have both been extended to 7 games. If the Penguins and the Bruins would start playing now, the Penguins and the Bruins series would probably be over by the end of the week, maybe the end of the weekend, beginning of next week, when the other series would just be getting started. So in the interest of what they're trying to do is have it so that there's a hockey game every night so they can keep interest. And it's for television.
And I understand that it's called TV.
But, I mean, because hockey has done everything it can to shoot itself in the foot, and they've done it time and time again. And, they've garnered some national attention. And, now what they've got is they've actually got 4 marquee teams that, have a chance. They've got Boston, which has got a huge following and a recent Stanley Cup champion. Pittsburgh with the most identifiable player in hockey, Sid Crosby. You've got the L.A. Kings in one of the largest markets in the West Coast that doesn't have an NFL team. I mean, unless you count the USC Trojans.
Sometimes.
And then you've got Detroit and Chicago, two hotbeds, 2 of the original 6 that are being extended to 7 games. So, they need to milk this for everything they can because they did enough to harm the sport with their lockout. So
I know, but it's just frustrating as a fan. Mm-hmm. And when you put it out there, you just ask why. And I know why. It's the TV factor and how you promote it.
I know the players are itching to get at each other.
Well, why wouldn't you? So we'll see what happens, whether they're prepared, Big Mike, or whatever they do. It's like starting a season all over when the Penguins and Bruins will play.
Well, it's I think I comprehend what Chip was saying about, but isn't there a Game 7 tonight?
There's a Game 7 tonight, San Jose and Los Angeles at 9 o'clock. Tomorrow night, Chicago and Detroit play in Chicago, Game 7.
Okay, so why couldn't the Penguins and the Bruins start on Thursday instead of Saturday?
That was beyond
is it gonna rain,
that's
like
beyond my ability to comprehend. I mean,
that's part of my point, Big Mike. I didn't want to bring that up. It's just called TV.
Yeah, but geez, oh man! I mean, first off, there was in the first round there was 2 or 3 days in between games. Come on, and now the Bruins and the Penguins, who both won 4 out of 5, could be laying off for 7 days. When in fact, I think that if there's going to be a gap of any size at all, it should be for the finals, not this whatever this conference final is now.
And the one thing about the layoff though is that the Penguins last played on Friday, the Bruins last played on Saturday, and if they don't play until Saturday, not one team has an advantage over another because they've been equally off as long as one another. So I mean, I guess they'll be a little bit rusty, but one team won't have more of an edge from just having played the day before. But
yeah, and then if you by rights you would expect this to be the toughest series, barring the Stanley Cup Finals. So in other words, the conference finals, which the Penguins and the Bruins are playing, and whomever wins in the West, it could go 7 games because that should be the premier matchup of the conferences, correct? Right. And then what's there going to be? Like a 1-day gap, maybe 2 days gap?
Hold it. What's TV going to tell them? That's how simple it is. When TV speaks, they're going to jump because I don't blame them for getting the opportunity. They're on NBC Sports, they're on CNBC. The whole NBC network. They're on 4 different stations there. So they're milking everything they can regionally and everything else. Let's see what happens.
Well, I'm a fan. It's just as you are. Just as you are.
Okay, so being the conspiracy theorist that I am, last night the Blackhawks and the Red Wings were playing, and I don't know if anybody saw the call when the penalty shot was awarded to the Chicago Blackhawks.
I missed it.
Did television want that to go 7 games? I wonder.
Well, I brought the conspiracy up, I think, a week or so ago with there's more home wins this year. So it means they're coming back to play at home instead of closing out series.
Good point.
So,
now, is Chicago in the dogfight?
They were getting blown out.
They were down 3-1 at one point.
Chicago,
yeah.
Yes, and Chicago,
that was my pick to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, that was my pick to play the Penguins in the finals.
Me too. So
don't count out the LA Kings.
Hey, I want to revisit. Where's Jack Ham on your list?
Middle linebackers. I'm sorry, Jack was outside linebacker.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
I
He
missed,
would be on
I
any
missed the
list.
middle.
Yeah,
There was so much stuff going on. I might have missed it. You probably said
Jack,
it, but I wasn't listening.
The hammer would be on any list for all-time linebackers.
And a little known
Just
linebacker didn't get a lot of ink was a guy that played for the Atlanta Falcons in the late 60s, early 70s.
Tommy Nobis.
Yes, he
Tommy
was.
Nobis was tough.
He was a
Mike
rough-
Curtis
Mike
for
Curtis.
Baltimore Colts was tough.
Yep,
There you
number
go.
32.
I know my white linebackers.
I know. What are you saying? You're looking for a white safety?
Cornerback.
I keep saying
So,
safety, but
reverse discrimination, I won't put up with it, man. There got to be a white cornerback out there that can play in the National Football League. I'm convinced of it.
and for anybody that enjoys this type of conversation, we have certain segments that we try to get in, and you can see we talk just about any sport. A couple of the people I ran into, they go, well, what sports do you talk about? And I'm at a party for Memorial Day, and I go, name a sport. We even do unicycles. They go, what? I go, there's unis and munis. And for all you investors, that's not a municipal bond. It's a mountain unicycle.
And next week we're going to bring in Highlight.
Hey, there you go. All right, now we go to Sips Sports Bar. We weren't there, but 3024 West Liberty Avenue, 15216. We got people that are going to come by. We may even get some other guests if I get some calls to confirm that they're going to try to come up to Dormont. They've been watching the show. Thank you for all you're doing here, Dave Cable and BPTV. We got Dan here. He's running the cameras. He's making me look perfect. He didn't cut off my head. I don't have that blockhead thing going. Thank you. You're making all of us look great here. Little Z, you're out of luck tonight, baby. We'll come back next week. And we got Devin Shea running a tight ship. He's constantly telling Dan what to do. I can hear him here. So he's keeping him on the straight and narrow. But Sips Sports Bar, you know what? I'm thinking of going to Sips Sports Bar tonight, Smoking Jim, because they got Campidi's pizza for 50 cents a slice.
I may join.
You know what? On the way back, maybe I'll ride down to Sips, get a couple pieces of pizza, spend my winnings, which they sort of disappeared. I don't know what happened there, buddy. But I did win a 50-50 at Kumatai. And now they have a Thursday jumbo wings, which Smoking Jim and I will tell you that they're great. Can't beat it. So head on out there this week. The jumbo fish on Friday with coleslaw, $7.50. And they always got some type of entertainment Saturday nights at 9. Check out Sips Sports
One
Bar.
question. Now, are those specials only for May, or are they going to continue them in June?
I don't know. I didn't
We
get the
gotta
word.
find out. We gotta
Wait till
find
we
that
talk
out.
to Tina, not Trina. Trina's the unicycle girl. But Tina will let us know. She runs a straight ship there.
We can't ask Kelly either?
Oh, I don't know. Kelly's the new waitress bartender there. She took Tracy's place. They may not keep her in the loop there. You're dropping names with pretty girls all over the place. All right, let's go to one of my favorite segments, Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine. And I'll tell you what, I thought I was the only person in the world that remembered Tommy Nobis. That was pretty good, Chip. But, hey, we're going back a little ways. Fiction and Facts. The second largest banquet I'm involved in the state of Pennsylvania, next to the Dapper Dan banquet, is the Willie Stargell MVP banquet. Wow. And over the years, we had a lot of outstanding people who emceed that banquet. Muhammad Ali, Dr. J, Marcus Allen, the list goes on and on. But
you're talking Hall of Famers and everything.
We're talking Hall of Famers, but I tell you what, the guy who, Claudio Rilsano.
No.
Yeah, so we've
not
had
the head coach of CMU baseball.
We had some, and Claudio could have played in the NBA. We thought he was going to play in the NBA because he's the tallest in his family, but he didn't make it. But my favorite MC of all time was Sir Charles Barkley. Sir Charles Barkley came in. And I tell you what, I didn't know at the time that he's written 5 books.
Himself.
So he says. But he came in, and I tell you what, no notes. He spoke for over an hour from his heart. Afterwards, he took pictures with all the models and everybody in the audience. And his security literally had to drag him out of there. So big shout out to my main man, Charles Barkley. It was back down when they had the Hilton Hotel downtown in downtown Pittsburgh. I don't know what it is now. Wyndham Grand, but that's back when they had the Hilton Hotel, and we could sneak and get a room or two back then. But Sir Charles Barkley, outstanding MC at the Willie Stargell MVP banquet.
Nice.
Sweet.
Thanks for that fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Now we got another one of my favorite segments here, Chip's Trivia Time. What do you have tonight here, Chip?
What do I have tonight? Well, you know what? The Penguins are playing the Bruins. So you have a little bit of Penguins and Bruins playoff hockey trivia. Okay. Now, the Penguins and the Bruins have played each other 4 times in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And the first time they played was in 1979, the Stanley Cup quarterfinals. The Bruins beat the Penguins 4-0. The Don Cherry coached Bruins, and Don Cherry, for those of you who may not know, he's the loudest mouth in Canada. Wow. He will rip on anybody, and he's ripped on Sid Crosby.
Oh.
He coached the Bruins on their way to a showdown with rival Montreal, ran roughshod over an overmatched Penguin squad. The Bruins swept the Penguins, racking up 16 goals in 4 games. The next time the Penguins and the Bruins played was in the 1980 Stanley Cup preliminary round. The Penguins, the preliminary round back in those days was a 5-game series, not a 7. Everything is now a 7-game series. And the Penguins jumped out to a 2-1 series lead before the Bruins stormed back with an 8-3 road win in Game 4 and a 6-2 closeout victory in Game 5 at the Boston Gardens. The Bruins beat the Penguins 3-2. The next 2 times the Penguins played the Bruins in the playoffs was as the Penguins were marching to consecutive Stanley Cups. And the Mike Milbury coached, and if anybody doesn't know who Mike Milbury is, watch this. This is the
listen to him.
The NBC Sports Network. He's the meathead that constantly is ripping on anything Penguins, and specifically Matt Cook. But they're trailing 2-0 in this series. Okay, the Bruins were up 2-0. Kevin Stevens promised the series wins. The Penguins won the next 4 games by a combined score of 20-7. And of more note was Ulfi Salmuson ended Cam Neely's career, who happened to be the Boston Bruins' big gun with a bone-jarring hit that took him out of the game, out of the series, and out of his NHL career, of which, Mike Milbury still hasn't forgiven the Pittsburgh team for doing. Then the following year, in the 1990, that was in the Wales Conference Final in 1991. In the Wales Conference Final in 1992, wasn't even a contest. The Penguins smoked the Bruins 4-0. So far, the series is even at 2-2. No, the rubber match is this year, and I would like to make a bold prediction right now because, I do believe that the factor that's going to be key to the Penguins winning this series, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh,
Wow, there's a profound statement.
The win the series against Boston?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think he's going to play a key role.
Now, do you think Boston can beat the Penguins?
Yes, they can. The Boston won the Stanley Cup in 2011. They have a stronger team this year than they did in the year they won the Cup. Their goaltender has been key. And yes, if the Penguins do not play their absolute best hockey, they will be watching the finals.
Mm-hmm. There you go. We'll talk about some of that during Penguins here, folks. We're getting antsy with it's all hockey tonight. All right, now we got another up-and-coming segment. It's becoming another favorite of mine. You handled it well with Little Z. He answered questions left and right last week with you, Big Mike. We got Big Mike's questions.
That's why I'm counting on a chair to my right. This jazz here, it took me 2 days, 2 nights to come up with this stuff, and I still am perplexed over the answers I got. Because what I did is I went to websites and did a conglomerate. But basically what I'm trying to get to is the best of each sport in the 70s and the 80s. And the reason why...
How many questions do you have here?
I don't know. It's got a lot of paper here. The reason why I did is because if I recall correctly, you were born in 1960, right? Well,
I was born in 1960.
Yeah, and I didn't want to put you at a disadvantage for the 70s, although I'm sure you were hip to it. I know he does. Some of us do, some of us don't. Okay?
Every day he reads a book.
Jim writes them, I read them.
In the 70s and the 80s, I think it's a no-brainer, as into basketball, who were the greatest. Okay, for those who don't know,
Okay.
this is
Lakers?
this. No. Individual players. I find this to be interesting because they gave
Put your
Kareem
glasses on.
Well,
Abdul-Jabbar the 70s, even though he started in the he played in the 70s.
He won a world championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, I
Yeah.
believe it was in 1971.
See, he's only 11 years
Oscar
old.
Robinson.
The
You know
Big O.
what's
And
funny?
he did it as Lou Alcindor, not
Right.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Wow.
Who did the Big O play for?
Milwaukee.
Cincinnati.
And Milwaukee, the Cincinnati
Royals.
That's correct. That's awesome. Because he was one of the names that cropped up. Okay. In football in the 70s, in the 80s, and this is where I was perplexed.
Steelers.
No. Individual players. Don't play with me.
Okay.
That's for TV, folks.
Okay, this is where I was perplexed. In the 70s, the 80s, the two names, and again, I made a spreadsheet, so whoever name came up the most, I drove me crazy, man. I
You
went
are
through
a
a ream of
rocket
paper.
scientist. I had a couple people asking me on the side if you're actually a rocket scientist.
I do have a chemistry set at home.
Okay. There you go, folks.
Okay, the two number one player and or players in the 70s and the 80s, according to this spreadsheet that I made over various sites.
I would say Joe Montana would be up there.
In the 80s, correct. He's number one in the 80s.
Okay.
Is that you talking
And
about football?
Football
70s?
players. In the 70s, yeah.
70s.
70s O.J. Simpson.
Close. He actually came in third, but Walter Payton came out first
Wow.
with Roger Staubach number two.
Roger, ooh, that's good.
Now, as far as Steelers go, in that top 10, there were 4 Steelers in the top 10, but they didn't make it into 1 and 2, and that was Bradshaw, Ham, Lambert, and Franco. Oh, no, Green, not Lambert. Yeah, Green.
And Franco?
Yeah, and Franco.
All right, sure.
Okay, and LT got an honorable mention there, too. Okay, in baseball in the 70s and the 80s, as a player.
Bob Gibson.
His highlight was in the 60s.
I
Mike
thought he still
Schmidt.
last.
Mike Schmidt for the 80s, very good. Mike Schmidt was the number one consensus in the 1980s. And this
Pete
is
In
Rose.
his 70s, you got Willie Stargell.
Got to be Pete Rose.
Pete Rose.
Joe Morgan.
Yes,
Little Joe
Joe
made the
Morgan.
Big Reds go.
I have-
Chicken wing.
Little Joe made the Big Reds go.
That's correct. That's correct. With honorable mention to Tom Seaver and Ricky Henderson. Okay, in hockey in the 70s and 80s, this should be quite
The great one. The greatest of
in
all
the
time.
80s.
Gretzky.
No, Lemieux, but no, Gretzky is the great one. Yes, he was the number one.
Yeah, it had to
in the
be.
80s.
That was in his name.
Then let's talk about you had Bernie Perrant, you had Reggie Leach, you had
Ken
Bobby
Dryden.
Clark, Ken Dryden.
Did the black goalie from Edmonton make it?
Grant Fuhrer. He was in the 80s. He was in the 80s.
Yeah,
In the 70s. In the 70s.
Bobby Hull.
Bobby
Bobby
Orr.
Orr.
That's correct. So there you go.
Jet.
Yeah,
And this
one of
was
my favorites.
this was time and effort in my rocket science tree
I'm
chemistry
more not
set
trying
and,
to think on those
and a
questions.
bottle of red wine or 4.
Can I say one thing while we're still
Say
in?
2, because
When
he
I-
asked 22 questions.
When I had a radio show on Whammo, former Whammo,
Wow.
I was able to interview on the telephone Oscar Robinson.
Wow.
And Oscar Robinson ended up playing at the University of Cincinnati, but that was his second choice. Guess where he wanted to go to school?
Pitt.
Close.
Duquesne.
Duquesne. He said at that
Duquesne
time.
was a basketball powerhouse. at
Not
one
only was
time.
it a basketball powerhouse, they played a lot of black players. There was a lot of black players in the Hall of Fame. The first black player,
Flannery.
well, yeah, B.B. Flannery is a great one, but the first black player to play in the NBA went to Duquesne, Chuck Cooper.
Yeah.
So Oscar Robinson wanted to play for Duquesne, and the only reason he chose Cincinnati over Duquesne because he had no idea where Duquesne was.
And they do. And
He had no idea where Duquesne was, he
They
told me.
named after Chuck Cooper on Fifth Avenue, 2 doors up from the Super Bowl in downtown Pittsburgh.
Down there in Uptown?
Yeah.
Down and up there. Yeah.
Hey, a couple friends of mine have played there from the 70s from Keystone Oaks. For a little fiction and fact from Al Levine's almanac, John Werner and Jeff Werner, and I think Mickey DeVilla.
Brothers.
Yes.
Wow.
Jeff was like 6'11". John was the better athlete, was about 6'6".
Really?
Yeah. Keystone Oaks won a couple championships, 73, 74.
Boys?
Yes.
Wow.
Boys basketball. You better
Wow.
check it out.
John Wayner,
Your
the-
man Armand Gillum was there. After that, you got to read some of the history books about South Hills. No, at Bethel. We played Bethel a few times.
Wow.
And beat them.
Really?
We were a
that's
small
big school. Yeah, that's big
Yeah.
school.
Well, we just had enough kids. That was that baby boomer era.
Because I used to go to WPIL champion playoff games. There was always
Keystone, we were down at the Civic Arena, buddy, with it. Coach Jim Sims, who owns Duke Station on Baptist Road.
Best
Stop in and see
ribs
him.
in town.
Where's some
Best
good ribs?
ribs. Duke
Oh,
Station.
man.
Where's it at?
Baptist Road.
Baptist Road.
Oh,
Where's that? Out this way?
Oh yeah.
Bethel
it is.
Park, Coach Sims.
We gotta go.
We'll go there tonight.
Hey, it's
Meaty ribs.
Yes,
You know
they
what?
fall off the bone.
You'll clean the bone. There isn't an ounce of fat on them.
I like the place on 51 across from the VFW.
Yeah.
What's that called?
That's called
Oh,
the
we're
Rowdy
talking
Barbecue.
Keystone Oaks there.
That's
Wait
the
a
Rowdy
second.
Barbecue.
That's you like those ribs
Y'all
there
really
too.
y'all really know your ribs.
Oh, at Don Campiti, we'll go to Sip Sports Bar and
Don
get some.
Campiti. I went there tonight. I couldn't get a slice. I couldn't get two
Where'd you go?
slices. Campiti's
That's because you're supposed to go to Sip Sports
Drop
Bar.
my name.
to get slices.
Drop mine too.
telling you
Don
what.
said anytime. You'll get slices.
Really?
He'll slice you.
Okay. Well, here before we get off this,
We're ready.
the most difficult record to be broken in the NBA, somewhat equivalent to Joe DiMaggio's 56 game
100
hit streak.
points.
No. The career number of triple doubles is held by Oscar Robinson. I think it's 186. And the reason why I know that is because his name came up in that 70s thing, and I just went to Wikipedia and looked him up. He's very accomplished.
Well, one
Baller.
season he averaged a triple double for a season.
What is it?
For a season, he averaged a triple double
yeah.
for a season.
He was one of the, back in those days, probably the two of the better guards that played basketball were Bob Cousy for the Boston Celtics.
That's my favorite.
And the Big O. And I tell you what, those two, when they played basketball, the ball was just in perpetual motion, and they drew the defense to them. They dished it off to the bit players.
Wasn't that carrying like they do today? Can you imagine if they could carry or shoot the 3-point shot? Wasn't no
would've been-
3-point shots back then.
Wilt Chamberlain would have had 300 points in a game.
And the dunk was something that was not.
Oh yeah,
You know,
they'll bring you to your feet.
Yeah.
Because it happened a few times a game,
Well,
not every
you know,
play.
the dunk right now, it's just you don't see the quality shooters that you've seen in the '60s and the '70s that you see now. A guy makes 34% of his field goals, and he's considered a sharpshooter. 34% didn't even get you off the bench back in those days.
That's true.
Because you had to be able to shoot.
And they knew how to kiss it off the glass too.
Banks were always open.
I like that.
Never closed. All right, folks. I want to thank Bill Neal for letting me join Smokin' Jim with the Kumatai Classic. I went to every booth, met a lot of great people.
Yes,
We
you
may have
did.
future visitors here. I got to announce on TV here, Smokin' Jim and I we're working on a deal right now to maybe announce some MMA up in Steubenville.
Wow.
So we might be taking this show on the road. Devin, I don't know if you're ready to go up to Steubenville, buddy, but we're working on the details. Wait about the unicycle. I got to first prep him for the July.
He still hasn't gotten over going to Butler yet.
If not, Aaron Ward. These guys never watch the show. Devin's in there right now. He's just screaming at Dan right now, like, what's Al talking about? So,
No,
but
and Devin may be in the MMA. He may want to
we
get in
met some
that
great
cage.
people.
Words of advice to you, Devin. Be careful what you volunteer for.
Well, I'll tell you what, I saw some great athletes, and I think I ate so many energy bars and healthy things there.
It was
that
free.
I couldn't go to sleep for about 2 days. I just,
One of first.
how'd you know? You guys are brutal here. It's true.
Alan, we love you. Don't ever change. Don't ever change.
Just ask the guys I work with at the Press and Post Gazette, like Jimmy V and Gary and Chief. Don't fall off of your chair about free stuff there, Chief. You've seen me in action. So we'll see you next Monday night at Sips. But it was great. Bill Neal was really, he's just a great guy when you do interviews. And he brings people up there. And I met Bill Viola
Yes,
who's
sir.
a champion.
Yes, sir.
And just a legendary guy. I met him. They're going to expand the Kumite Classic to like, what, a 4-day event or something, Smoking Jim. And they're even going to have like a marathon race and just unreal. And I was in, I don't know, somebody told me to call it, it's God's country in Monroeville. And I was out there.
Where the sun is always shining.
Well, you know what? It almost set on our party. I was out there 8 hours in God's country. So, I mean, the people were just great people. The athletes that are out there, men, women. Oh, the Pittsburgh Force was out there.
Yes, it was.
They had a booth there, and Emily said hi to us.
Roger Kingdom was from Monroeville, wasn't he?
He grew up in Georgia, but once he left Pitt, he moved right to God's country.
Yes, he did.
Did he raise a family there?
Won a couple of Olympic gold medals in the process.
He
didn't
sure did.
Yes, he did.
He sure did.
10-meter hurdles.
That's my Kumite Classic. Maybe we'll get the video on that. We did interview some legends. Matter of fact, Kamikaze Kid, you better watch out. I met Curtis Smith. He was dropping stories on a Kamikaze Kid. I'm going to relate a couple of them when we go to Six
Even
Sports
Bill
Spot.
Neal had a story on the Kamikaze Kid.
Bill Neal knew him. It's just unreal how Pittsburgh is a big little city with all this sports, folks. So keep watching. We appreciate all the input. I'm still waiting for that phone call. 412-831-3304.
04. The machine, while you're at it. Explain to those kids in Kitty Land out there in TV land what exactly the MMA is. I'm sure they're very interested and want to know.
I don't know.
Neither do I, so I'm asking you to explain. What's an MMA?
Well, one thing I do know, and people know, and I still have a few of them here now, is at the Kumite Classic at the Monroeville Convention Center. I was handing out letters of intent for the University of Gateway.
Yes, he was.
He was. Oh, but here's what it looks like. If you need here's one of their flyers. I don't know if Dan can get. Oh, look at that. And it was a 2-day event. A 2-day, as our man Andy Sebastian taught me. 2 days.
Jim will sign a letter of intent to anybody 6th grade north.
I don't know. He was kissing babies in Monroeville. Chip, I got to disagree there. He went to babies.
Well, they can't sign yet, you know.
Well, their mamas were signing.
Well, next year we're going to get some brothers in from Kenya because they're having a marathon at the Kumite Classic.
I
So
know. There we go. And
brothers from Kenya seem to find this country on the marathons for winning.
You know what? Speaking of Kenya and the marathoners, the guy that won the Boston Marathon is a Kenyan, and he's a young man, 23 years old. He's going to come back to the United States, and he's going to give the medal back to the city of Boston that he won in the marathon because he felt so bad that so many people were hurt as a part of that. And I was thinking, here's a person that's not even an American, and he's 23 years old, and he's reaching out to show respect for the tragic events that happened there. So you know what? Give him a little round of applause.
Yeah,
well done.
sure, absolutely.
And since we're applauding, go Buccos. I'm on the bandwagon, Chip. I'm still there. I think they have the pieces like I was explaining with that puzzle. And whether they made the right moves, sure, it was a 5-year plan. It took 6 years. I mean, so what if they're on the hot seat right now? If they do the El Fodo, I'm not saying they will. I think I'm going to lose my dollar. I can't find it right now. The chip this year. I even told a couple guys that I think I'm losing that dollar this year. I actually believe it.
The thing about the Pirates that's so intriguing about the way that they're playing right now, and they're playing so well as a team. They're not relying on any one person. And Andrew McCutchen's bat's starting to heat up. He's gotten a number of multiple hit games recently, but it's like every night it's somebody else. You know, they're playing solid defense. You know, so one guy will go 3 for 4 one night, and he'll sit down the next night to plug in somebody else, and that guy will step up to the plate. You don't see any backstabbing, sniping. You don't see anybody pouting. You know, they just whenever they're given an opportunity, they make the most of it. And, you know, they're playing very, very well as a team, and they're learning to rely on themselves. And the most amazing thing about the way the Pirates are playing this year is that, especially in the second half of last season and even, in 2011, is that when the Pirates got down, if they had an early lead and they were winning 2-1 and they went down 4-2, 5-2, anytime after the 6th inning, you could just turn the TV off because you knew that they weren't going to win the game. And they have come back and won so many games late. And even yesterday, playing the Tigers and playing the best, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, Justin Verlander. They started pecking away and pecking away. They got themselves back into the game, and in the top of the 8th, they were in a position to tie the game. And, a boneheaded move by somebody just brought up from AAA, by Josh Harrison, caused the Pirates to lose the game. But, what you didn't hear is criticism from anybody on the team or the manager about that play. You know what they do? They're going to show up tonight, and they're going to try to win, score one more run than the Tigers tonight. And I love the attitude, okay, because it's 162 games, and all you do every night is just go out and try to score one more run than your opponent. And, they've been winning 2 of 3, 3 of 4 from everybody. And I know we had 2 games in Detroit, 2 games in Pittsburgh against Detroit. And I swear, if the Pirates split the series, it's going to be a great thing. If they could ultimately win 3 or 4, look what they've done in so many series. They lost the first game, won the next 2 or the next 3. So, hey.
And here's a stat that I enjoy, and this shows you that maybe this is a different team. 28-0. When they have a lead in the end of the game, the last couple, and they've 28-0. That's the best in the major leagues right now. Wow. That shows you, in spite of pitching not going past 5 innings or so, or whatever they're doing, the ERA's down. When it's grilling time or grilled cheese at the end, whatever they're doing.
But to speak to one other thing about that, because of what happened in 2011 and what happened last year, the players realize that right now they really haven't accomplished anything. So, they don't get so high when they win, and they don't get so low when they lose. They're staying on an even keel. And I think they've learned their lessons. They've gelled as a team. And, you look at the teams that spent a couple of $100 million on salary. Look at the Los Angeles Angels. Look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're nowhere near where they are supposed to be, and managers' jobs are on the line. And the players that are getting paid $25 million a year are not performing like $25 million a year.
And I think it helps when you buy all these all-stars, it doesn't mean they can play together.
That's right.
And they did get rid of quite a few Pirates the last year or so, and that helped with their El Fodo here and, same old buccos that we talk about. And you did bring up a mix of younger people. And one of the keys, Russell Martin, whether we get these rejects or so-called rejects and then they're revived again, now we're starting to see some of that, because maybe these guys weren't 1 year away from retiring or 2 years away like they were picking up, because nobody would come here. Well, we actually have some interest that guys don't mind coming here. And Chip's talked about it. We've mentioned that before. So they're coming out
They're coming out. Jason Grilli, he was a free agent. He had offers from 3 or 4 teams, and he chose to stay here in Pittsburgh. And everybody was like, "Oh, how's this guy how are we ever going to replace Joel Hanrahan?" And right now, if you're a Pirate fan, you're saying, "Joel who?"
Well, the baseball gods working.
He's out for the year now.
He had elbow surgery. He's out for the year. Thank goodness that the Boston Red Sox are paying him about $7.5 million to work on. And look what we've got from that trade. We've got Mark Melanson, who's been our 8th inning shutdown man. We've got a kid in the Double-A. His name's Pimentel. They're really, really high on him. He's a young pitcher, and he's an upper-comer. They've got another kid named Sands, who was one of the top-rated players in the minor leagues at one point, but for whatever reason fell by the wayside, and he's trying to refine his stroke in Double-A too. So there's pieces that we got that have already produced fruit, that may produce fruit in years to come. So that not only do we help the team now, we're helping the team for the future. To help us maintain
keep getting those W's. That's what counts. And 28-0. I can see them building on that. That fact alone will show you that they want to play, and they can play at a high level at the end of the game. And plus, Grilli's striking people out. And if he's not, he's pitching 8 pitches and getting 3 outs. So, he's very efficient on that most of the time. And if you want to go back to Hanrahan, he wasn't that efficient towards the end of last year for whatever reason. And the baseball gods are not smiling on him now. So he did what he could there.
And you know what? They go in, they fix up his arm. you know, and I wish him the best of luck, and he'll be a very effective closer in years to come. But you know what? Wouldn't have done us much good this year if we would have kept him and paid him $7.5 million.
Exactly. And speaking of winning, we got the Penguins here. You know, I'm a fan. 8 to go. I don't care what these guys say. I don't play the sport. We can argue all day long, but it's 8 wins to go. To be sitting here instead of the last 3 years like that, it's enjoyable, and we've seen good hockey too. They've been exciting games. Sure, we want to see a blowout, but they're averaging 4.27 goals per game. You know, that's unheard of for the last 20 years.
That's actually one of the highest in Stanley Cup playoff history, yes.
So, I mean, these are all good things. You know, we like to see it. I'm still staying with that same prediction. They're going to win the Stanley Cup. I don't care if it's in 5 games, 6 games, 7 games to do it, to get past each series. And it helps the owners get some of their money back, because after you lose, you know, those 33 games or so, they need it.
This year, because of the short season and the fact that there was no inter-conference play, this year will be to tell the tape if there is any such thing as a professional scout. If we had one here on the panel, he could probably give us an insight as to how important it is to have scouting, advanced scouting, come into play. Because certainly there have been some Penguin scouts in the Western Conference playoffs, charting or whatever a professional scout does.
They got video.
The interesting thing about the NHL season this year, because they played a shortened season, we didn't play anybody in the Western Conference this year. So, you know, when we get a chance to go up against, whether it be Los Angeles, Chicago, San Jose, or Detroit, we haven't played any of those teams this year. So, you know, because of the condensed schedule and the travel requirements and everything involved, you know, the furthest west we went this year was Winnipeg, and even though they're in the Eastern Conference, but you know, that'll prove to be kind of interesting, because there's no, you know,
here's how interesting it is. The Penguins should be feared. That's how simple it is. With the firepower, playing some defense like they are, instead of us even thinking about the other teams. Sure, I respect them. They've had great seasons. There's some tough teams. But we're the big dog.
I was hoping to get a little bit of an insight of what a scout does, but...
Who are you trying to get to speak up? Because Chip and I are almost out of breath here trying to explain this.
All right, let me try to pull out a little more teeth here. Wasn't it just recently the NFL announced that they moved back their...
Hockey.
I'm trying
you
to
missed
get...
this segment. Here, I got it on the back end in case we ran short.
Okay.
Look, in case we ran short.
Football and shorts.
Yeah, got it. That was a pun intended there. See, they're the end.
They didn't see it.
How about we just move
to pro basketball?
Pro basketball.
Oh, boy.
What do you think of the Pacers beating Miami to 1 game?
No, you know what I'm more impressed with is, once again, Tim Duncan's on the edge of winning his 5th championship.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, I would root very, very feverishly for the San Antonio Spurs. I am not a Miami Heat fan. I am not a LeBron James fan, even though he may be the best basketball player in the world. I think he's a jerk. But I would love to see Tim Duncan win his 5th championship at the twilight of his career. You know, here's a guy that's, you know, got 4 championship rings on his hands. And, you know, you've never heard of him. He's never made the news about anything. He's just been one of the best players of the last 15 years.
And how old is he now? 37 or something?
37 years old.
And he's playing like these young 22 and 23-year-olds. I've even watched a couple of those games.
And who's sitting on their bench? Local guy.
He's
big. DeJuan Blair. Yeah. Yes, sir. He may get a chance. Well, he's going to the finals. They swept the Memphis Grizzlies, and, you know, and everybody... The Memphis Grizzlies were the best defensive team in basketball, and they got taken to task and swept in 4.
And another local Pitt product, I'm watching an interview, and my son goes, "Hey, Dad, there's, Sam Young?"
Yeah.
He was being interviewed. He's a defensive guy.
Yeah, he made a mistake on the LeBron layup to win the game with 2 seconds to go.
And I still predict Miami is going to repeat. I don't care whether I like them or you like them or anything else. Just a prediction. It's a sport.
Go Spurs.
All right, we got pro basketball. Anybody got any high school that they want to talk about here locally? Because their Whitbeal's track, I missed that. I didn't get any updates on the Whitbeal track and field.
Well, the finals are being played for the Whitbeal baseball championships, and
Well, track and field was last week, I know.
I stand, and I'm ashamed to say that I can't remember the name of the two teams, but two of the four teams that are playing in the Whitbeal finals are looking to complete undefeated seasons.
Wow.
So there's two of the teams. I think one's in Double A, one's in Triple A.
Somebody call in 412.
That are playing for the
3304.
championship, and wouldn't it be something to have two undefeated champions out of the Whitbeal in baseball this year?
Wow. That would be nice. And then we're following Pitt in college with the baseball. They won the first one. I don't know what happened, if they won the second series yet or what.
No,
it's still
Pitt,
going on.
Here's what's going on with Pitt. Pitt had the best baseball season they've ever had. They won 42 games this year. The only chance they had of getting into the College World Series would have been to have won the Big East tournament. Okay. And it was a double elimination tournament, and they lost to Notre Dame in their final game. And unfortunately, their season's ended, and the only chance.
Did Notre Dame's quarterback play in that game?
I
No.
don't know. But
Well,
you mean the one that got dismissed from the team?
He's cleaning up somewhere.
But Pitt's only chance was to get an at-large bid to the College World Series.
Well, there's our update.
And they did not get it.
And now we'll do some closing remarks since Smoking Jim's playing a comedian and he's doing a great job at it. We'll get Big Mike. Anything else you want to put up there? You usually have something going on.
Actually, this is pretty cool because I personally had something to do with this, and this is an awesome. The only ever.
We only got like less than 3 minutes.
This is
13
2 sentences.
pages
The only I would get through it if I didn't get interrupted. Smoking Jim's on. The only father and son baseball father and son, they both played in the major leagues to ever pitch. Although they were position players, they were both catchers. Sal Butera for the Minnesota Twins and Drew Butera for the Minnesota Twins, both threw an inning of relief. One in, let me see, Sal Butera in 85 and Drew Butera in 2012. The only father and son, position players, but they were both catchers, but they were called in to throw an inning of relief for the prospective teams. The Buteras, Sal and Drew.
And this
Any
is
relation to Big Mike?
Big Mike Butera. I heard 22nd cousins twice removed. But other than that, they're a close family.
You lob a softball that slow. I got to take a swing at it.
I bit my tongue on it. I'm actually bleeding here. Smoking Jim, what else do you got going on?
Hey, you don't need Maury Povich when you do this. Leroy Burrell's son just set a national high school record. It was win-aided 10.07 in 100 meters.
Wow.
Officially 10.4. His dad was a former world champion, and now his sons look like he's going to be a world champion. When you do stuff like that, you know you got the right DNA.
Wow. How old is he?
Well,
You know?
I guess 17 or 18.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Chip, what else do you got going on here with the end? Any
Nothing,
closing remarks you want to bring up?
Just looking forward to the Penguins and the Bruins series. Got some family that lives up in the southern Maine, but they're Boston Red Sox and Patriots and Bruins fans, and I will be firing shots across their bows because, what I plan on doing is when I go up to visit them on the 29th of June, I plan on bringing Stanley Cup champion hats that have the Pittsburgh Penguins logo on them and sharing them with them all up there.
Nice. On that happy note, go Pens, go Buccos. Any local teams we missed, call in and tell us about it. We'll root for them. I appreciate everybody here. Chip the Prophet Hayner, thanks for all your help. Smoking Jim Frazier, thanks for all the help, promotions, and getting Alicia to join our boxing team. Big Mike Butera, thanks for putting up for all my interruptions there. And I like the hair. And thanks to all of you for watching the show. Appreciate the great feedback. And we'll see you next week at Sip Sports Bar and Tuesday Night Live, 7, 8 o'clock here.